And we're looking at what the papers are saying, some of the dailies, starting out with the Guardian newspaper. And they lead with that story around inflation and rising construction costs. This is how they captioned it. Low middle class defer home ownership plans for food. When it gets to that point where you have to think about, which would I have first? Can I have food or do I need a roof over my head? Let's go for the food because you need to be alive to have a roof over your head. That's what the Guardian's leading with.
Yeah, that's also because, you know, a large portion of what it is that should go into savings for such long-term projects are now going to immediate needs such as food. A really, really disturbing situation. But take a look at Daily Trust, and they have this for you. Barely how many days after we had the abductions in Kuriga, this is what we're seeing on the front page of Daily Trust. 86 abducted in fresh Kaduna attack. 73 cattle rustled in Plateau. Bandits taking over our farmlands. That's according to Southwest farmers. Defense chief alleges plot to cause mayhem. The story is on page 4 of the paper. You have an infographic breakdown for you, showing you just where the most incidents have happened and in which local government of Kaduna State. Look at that. 8 incidents in 3 local government areas in 30 days. So far, 452 victims and counting. A really disturbing situation and, painted here by Daily Trust newspapers. Ayo.
Daily Independent leads with something that has been touted as one of the major solutions to all of the issues well, at least a significant quantum of the issues we are having in the nation. Anyoku, Ibori, Sanwo-Olu, others seek new constitution. We had this conversation yesterday. Nigeria can't survive presidential system. As ascribed to former governor of Osun State, Aregbesola, Ozekome urges new constitution through popular referendum. Well, I guess we'll wait to see how that will unravel. The details of it continue on the inside pages of the paper this morning.
And then let's look at the Leadership newspaper and see what they are leading. Quite a plethora of stories there, but they have that thing about the constitution, the new constitution. But see this one. Bandits sustain attacks on Kaduna, abduct another 86. As their lead story there, the big one. Outlaws raided Kajuru Sunday night, 10 days after terrorists. 10 days after, terrorists yet to contact families of 287 students. Defense chief visits Kaduna as governor says school children will return safely. And then you see the pictures of those gallant men who went out there who have given their lives, as the CDS put it yesterday, have given their lives for this country, and they will ensure that this country is together and in peace. We thank you for your service, but that's what the Leadership newspaper is leading with.
Well, indeed, Nyota, may the service, may the labor of our now heroes past never be in vain. And I hope that we keep that at the back of our mind, knowing that some people are actually shedding their blood for this country to continue to remain one. For this country to continue to remain safe and a place where we all can stay, and keep that at the back of our minds when we have some of the conversations that we have, and even in our daily actions. Vanguard newspapers also has that picture on the front page. The fallen soldiers is tagged. I'm seeing a few names here which are quite legible. I mean, the commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel A.H. Ali, his name is there. Major S.D. Shafar, Major DEOB, Captain U. Zachary, and the names of all the other soldiers, that also lost their lives in that operation are also right there. Maybe not as clearly as you would like, but the pictures are very visible, very clear. That's what they're also focusing on the front page of the Vanguard. Aftermath of soldiers' killings, bloodbath in Delta. Villagers flee, hide in forests. That story is right there on the front page of Vanguard newspapers. They have this right here: military on rampage, arrest community leader, others over alleged harboring of perpetrators. Troops storm Bayelsa community, raise buildings, some fear dead. Ovo Rewori visits community. What triggered the bloodbath? You have inhabitants speaking. They have all of the details for you on page 5 of the Vanguard newspapers. Ayo.
The Blueprint newspaper has a similar story on its front page. Insecurity in Kaduna with 86 in fresh attack, 466 kidnapped in 19 days. That's according to investigation. Expert lists non-prosecution of culprits, poor topography, others as reasons for invasion. Army accuses Okwama community of propaganda. That's a very interesting twist, dare I say, to the story, and I don't think it's the kind of thing that we really want to hear. But that's what you have on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. That image is also right there on the front page of Blueprint today. Rest in peace, our fallen heroes. That's the lead story of the Blueprint newspaper today.
And while we celebrate the fallen heroes, we still also celebrate those who are heroes. We heroes that are still alive and doing their best to ensure that we all can sleep with our 2 eyes closed, as Ayo would put it. Let's go to the Observer newspaper and see what they lead with. Rising inflation, cost of healthy diet worsen Nigeria's malnutrition risk. That's what they're leading with in the Nigerian Observer. And indeed, as we said, you have to stay alive first before you think about the roof over your head. But that's a Nigerian Observer for you.
Take a look at New Telegraph. Kaduna, fear, tension as bandits kidnap 87, loot shops in fresh attack. That's a lit story on the front page of New Telegraph. 48 hours after abducting 14 residents as Kajuru, Chikun local government areas become hotbeds of kidnapping, banditry. Stories on page 2 of New Telegraph.
Well, while all of that is going on, and sadly so, don't also forget that there's that conversation around unpaid salaries. That's the lead story of the Nigerian News Direct today. Osun, Kwara, Ondo, others, varsities comply as Sanu, Nasu continue 7-day warning strike. That story is on page 2. No government representation, no government rep has reached out to the non-academic unions, according to SANU president. FUD issues 1-week ultimatum for payment, threatens prolonged strike. NLC stands in solidarity with joint union, presses for timely salary entitlements. Salary settlements, that's the story. The details of that you'll find on page 2 of the Nigerian News Direct as its lead story.
And this Nigeria has a story that's tied to that matter in Kaduna. Gunmen strike again in Kaduna village, abduct 87. You will get details of it on page 4, but see the rioters broke into shops during Kajuru attack, loot foodstuffs. Defense chief visits Governor Sani, says they'll soon be rescued. That's the lead story on this Nigeria. And Markwe, it's amazing how all of this that's going on, and someone asked the questions, where are all our intelligence gathering agencies? What kind of intelligence is out there? What's it being done with? What's being used for? What's the response to the level of intelligence that's come? Because we do have intelligence agencies across the country, and they are putting in their best. Again, these men and women, as we said earlier, have signed up to ensure that Nigeria's peace is sustained and restored where it is lost and all that. And they are doing their best. But what's being done with the intelligence that's gathered? How much of information is even passed across to the citizens? I mean, the CDS yesterday said something about the level of information that is shared with the military, and sometimes it comes in late. How quickly is this information shared? Is it timely? Is it adequate? And then when it is shared, what's being done about it? What's the instruction from the top to those on the ground? I was having a conversation with someone, and he said it doesn't matter what goes on from the ministry or the heads of the ministry or of defense. What matters is the man, the foot soldier. Does he have the equipment he needs? Equipment there is not just the hard equipment. The intelligence is also part of the equipment he needs. Is it getting to him? His welfare is part of his equipment for him to run that race to ensure that where he's been assigned is protected. These are all some of the things that are being looked at while we're celebrating what these men and women are doing for us. as we've seen across some of the national dailies.
And also sticking out for me is the fact that I think that intelligence agencies need to be audited. And I don't mean a financial audit, even though that might not be totally out of place. But I mean in terms of the strengths, weaknesses, and capabilities. I mean, I'm not asking for an open audit. That's highly sensitive. But to see what it is that we're missing. Because if at the end of the day, I mean, for years now, we're dealing with Boko Haram. It has morphed into banditry. It's morphed into all of these other organizations, some of whom are seeking secession. And we're now beginning to see elements coming in from the northern Sahel region, penetrating many parts of Nigeria and causing havoc, wreaking havoc. Then there are big questions that we really need to ask as to what precisely is failing. If we do not ask ourselves these hard questions, and this is not to take anything away from the efforts of those who are currently working, it is just to ensure that we actually do have a sound structure that is not jeopardizing the lives of our people unnecessarily. I'm sure, there's still investigations going on into how these soldiers lost their lives and how it was that they were not able to tell when the temperature had changed, when the situation had changed, or whether they could not call for help. Because we understand that initially a few soldiers had been sent to Okwama, they were abducted, they were held down by the villagers, and the next batch of soldiers had gone there to go and find out what exactly was going on and to make peace. It was a peaceful mission. Somehow, it did not end well. This is what we have now seen. So we need to be sure that the structures that we have is such that it's not also jeopardizing the lives of our soldiers and men. It's in such a way that it is standardized. This sort of attack, as some of our ex-men have also said, should not be happening within Nigeria. This is not enemy ground. How come it is that we're losing our own men who have offered their lives in defense of this country to people within? That is really, really disturbing and worrisome. But in my own opinion, my own humble opinion, I do believe that we need to take a second look, an audit of precisely what exactly is failing in terms of our security agencies, and it should be a dispassionate look. It should not be one that is filled with emotion. Yes, to the rest of the public, we can always be frank and continue to ask for patriotism and support, but internally and sincerely, we should take a second and hard look at what precisely is happening. Is the morale of people low? What precisely could be causing it? Are there fifth columnists within? What exactly could be the motivation for that? Just to be sure that we've dotted our I's and crossed our T's, and we're tight on the outside to be able to face the external enemy. Ayo.
Yeah, I think we need to pay attention to something, Malkwe and Nelson, and that's the fact that we need to recognize how the military and the entire army must feel right now. First of all, as we agreed, our condolences to the families of the soldiers that have fallen and innocent people whose lives were lost in this process. And we also commiserate with the Nigerian army on this particular unfortunate incident. We have to recognize that the entire institution of the Nigerian army must feel very, very pained right now. We have to recognize that, and we have to acknowledge it. So we thank you, Nigerian army, for your service. We also, and I'm sure, Malkwe, you may have also seen this report on X. The Nigerian army is putting out a statement that the community is kind of pushing back by trying to express some other narratives. That information is on their handle on X. We just need to continue to engage. The top brass of the army have come out to say, look, everyone who needs to do what they need to do should go about their businesses the way they should. But I think various entities and interests in Nigeria must reach out to the Nigerian army and reach out to the different communities here. There is something we discussed yesterday, Malkwe, if you would remember, and that's the fact that we need this cohesion. We need this conversation to go on. We need this ownership of the nation. So where two communities in a particular state are fighting for whatever reason. And emblems of state go there to try to make sense, and make peace. And such things happen. I think it calls for a lot of question, not just among the different communities, but among anyone who has any iota of respect for the green and white flag of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as well as a constitution that keeps us together. These things shouldn't happen. We're also talking about fresh attacks in the north, and the army that is supposed, that we trust to go and face these issues, is right now wounded. How in the universe are we going to live with ourselves concerning this matter? There's a statement credited to the CDS, if I recall correctly, saying that if we lose the army, everything is gone and it's all going to be chaos. And I know every one of us agrees that the army is committed to the Federal Republic of Nigeria and its democratic institutions. But we should not take this commitment for granted. We should have conversations where it matters and assuage all pains, all hurts, as much and as safely as possible, beginning with the utterances that come out of our mouth. It's back to you guys.
Indeed, someone asked the question, how many of us even know, Markwe, what it costs to train one Nigerian soldier from start to finish? Do you know, besides the fact that they are offering their lives, what it costs? Do you know what it takes to equip and educate one Nigerian from start to finish? These are all questions that sometimes beg for answers. But while we're doing all of that, we're also looking at the constitution, the call for a new constitution. Now, governors and ex-governors are calling for a new constitution by the right process, the public referendum. That was yesterday, but I think that's part of our conversation today. And that's, at that point, we'll just say that's where we end the look at some of the headlines in some of the national dailies. Sunrise Daily will be back in a moment to get into our conversation today.